Is it true? Elizabeth Sutton said by way of greeting when Olivia answered her phone. Olivia Martinez closed her eyes on the Manhattan nightscape outside her high-rise condo and sank into the plush cushions of her cream wool boucle sofa. So much for hoping she'd have some time to process. News traveled fast, all the way to the ass end of the universe, apparently. Would it work if I said I didn't want to talk about it? Would it work if I got on a plane and showed up to kick your butt? Olivia smiled wryly at the image on her phone of her former boss and best friend. Elizabeth's tanned, makeup-free skin glowed, her blonde hair caught back in a messy ponytail, her azure eyes sparkling. Obviously, married life agreed with her. Who told you? Not my mother. Please tell me not my mother. No. Was it that bad? I've had worse, but I can't remember when. She still hadn't really recovered from that conversation, or the look of incredulity and, worse, barely concealed disappointment on her parents' faces at dinner earlier that night. Canceling the weekly dinner hadn't been an option. Her mother always spent the entire afternoon every Sunday after church making her signature dish and Olivia's favorite of pepián de indio, cutting up chicken, adding spices to the tomatoes, tomatillos, and other vegetables, and simmering the sauce for hours. Olivia had to go to dinner, and keeping the news from them wasn't an option. Plus, she so sucked at lying to her parents. So, she'd begun, not too elegantly, scooping up another helping of spicy sauce and chicken onto her plate. I've quit my job. Her father, seated at the head of the table as he always was, in a white shirt and impeccably pressed trousers, Sunday attire, very carefully put down his fork and stared at her from beneath dark brows, out of even darker eyes filled with instant concern. Why? We didn't like how you traveled all over the world for months at a time so Elizabeth could build new resorts, but we thought you were happy there. That hadn't been easy to explain. Her father had been teaching at the same college for almost 30 years. He'd begun as a janitor, despite having been a college teacher in Guatemala, had completed his equivalency certification requirements at night in the States, and now was a tenured professor in the engineering department. His loyalty to his family, friends, and the college was unswerving. Her mother had waited until Olivia was in middle school to begin teaching English as a second language, and had gotten her social work degree simultaneously. Steadfastness, dependability, and adherence to tradition defined her parents. So, no way was she telling them all the details. Not about the almost instant harassment she'd endured when she'd returned to the Manhattan offices of Sutton Properties after spending 7 months in Wickenburg, Arizona. 7 months as Elizabeth's exec and right-hand, go-to, all-around Gal Friday, while Elizabeth headed the project to turn a dude ranch into the newest property in the ever-expanding portfolio of Sutton Resorts. 7 months when she'd secretly counted down the days until she could leave the hot, dry, venomous creature-infested desert and return home. Home to Manhattan, where she had lived since she was 4 years old, where she had a small handful of close friends with whom she enjoyed all the city had to offer, and where her parents were. From her first memories, her immigrant parents had been her staunchest supporters, teaching her as a child that she could do anything and be anything she desired. Even moving their small family from Texas to Manhattan, where they could provide her with the education and social options to succeed. She loved sharing her life with them, despite the constant, unspoken, yet in-her-face pressure to get married and have babies. At 36, she was at the point in her life where she couldn't see spending more than a few dates with anyone, let alone the forever connection of a child. She'd come home from Arizona, but everything at Sutton had changed without Elizabeth.
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.